So I have had probably 15 comments wondering what's going on with the Corvette. So here's what's going on. I have been driving it, but the Dakota has been taking up all of my time lately. So since November of 2016, I've been working on tearing down the junkyard motor, well, pulling the junkyard motor, tearing down the junkyard motor, rebuilding the junkyard motor, swapping it into the truck, tuning the truck, replacing parts on the truck. I've been just dealing with the truck for the past 6 months because it just needed love. The day it decided to, the brakes go out on it whenever I was in the hospital was kind of like the day I decided I'm going to put emphasis on it because it was no longer a reliable vehicle at that point. So rather than trying to sell it and get pennies for it with the issues it had, I just decided to knuckle down and focus on it and get it done. So I've got probably 15 videos on the truck. I've got the rebuild videos, I've got door swaps that I've done, I've got front end parts that I've done, I've got all kinds of stuff that I've taken video. And it doesn't seem like there's as much interest in the truck. And that's fine, I don't get paid for this, so I mean, if nobody ever watches it, it's no skin off my back, and my family's interested and my friends are interested, so that's really the main purpose. But I guess in an effort to give the viewers what they want, I guess I give you a rundown on what's going on with the Corvette. So basically, I was doing a hard pull on the interstate, and it started shimmying really bad. Well, not really bad, but it just, there was a drivetrain vibration. I was like, what in the world is going on here? So what I did was I started doing some research, because the whole time I drive the thing, you know, no matter what I do, basically, at around 2,000, 2,200 RPM, it vibrates. You can feel the gear shift vibrate. You can just feel the whole car kind of shudder. So I was like, what in the world is going on? This is unusual. And it's been getting worse and worse steadily. So it appears from all of my research that the torque tube needs a rebuild. That probably these couplers have gone bad. And if you know anything about the Corvette, if you want to replace the couplers for the drive shaft, you basically have to tear the whole car apart. To get the torque tube out, you have to take the rear suspension, rear differential, transmission, and torque tube out. You got to take the exhaust out. You've got to take, basically, you literally have to take the car in half to get this thing replaced. So I haven't been driving the Corvette a whole lot just because I don't want to make that worse. And plus, every time I get in it, I want to get down on it, and I mean, who can blame me? So the tune's not finished either. Basically, what's going on is I have got the turbo oiling system down to the point where it will work, and it doesn't just pour oil out, but you can see this one right here, it's still getting oil in my exhaust. So what's happening basically is the turbo seals are not sturdy enough, strong enough. I'm not exactly sure that those turbos do not work for this kind of a system. And I hate to say that for Phobia Street, but these turbos just ain't cutting it for a remote oiling system. So what I really am gonna have to do is go to an oilless turbo setup, which is what my plan is. The problem is, to get 2 oilless turbos, it costs $4 grand. And we are about to make some life changes here. So $4 grand to just spend on my weekend driver is hard to come by right now. So if anybody out there wants to give me $4,000, heck, if anybody out there wants to give me $5, if Comp Turbos hears this and they want somebody to give them some credibility, because I'm trying my hardest to find what turbos to use. I mean, Comp is the only ones that I can see out there that makes the oilless turbos. And I would love to go with Comp Turbos, but their prices are kind of outrageous. So I can't, it's going to take me a little bit of time before I get the money together, just because we're paying off our student loans. Like, we have been putting every spare penny on our student loans. We should have them paid off this month, but we have been putting every spare penny we can on our student loans. And that's where all my free money is going, is basically to our student loans. And I really want to put the turbos on there. That way I can finish tuning it. I can do a dyno pull on it and not feel like I'm gonna blow up my engine, because the way it sits right now, as long as I drive it below like 2,500 RPM, it doesn't build boost and it won't shimmy too bad. But like I said, the shimmy's getting worse and worse every time I drive it. So in the meantime, I've got the truck to the point where it's daily drivable now. It's safe. I've had to put probably 200 hours worth of labor into my truck to get it to where it needs to be for me to feel safe. And it just gives me giggles every time I drive the thing with the supercharger and everything, especially with the rebuilt motor in it. So my plan is, maybe not this weekend, maybe the weekend after that. It depends on how things go. I'm probably gonna have to travel for work again here pretty soon. So it might not be until July this year that I can actually get back to the Corvette. We'll see how it goes. I might start tearing it apart anyway, because I've got the lift and everything. It's not as big a deal, and I'm not really driving it. I'm just driving it basically around the block once a week to keep the battery charged up and all that stuff. But so what I've got right here is, these are the couplers. And rather than buying the General Motors couplers that are basically $150 a piece, I found that there is these Bilstein, FEBI Bilstein couplers, which that's what they look like. I got me 2 of those. I found these are only about $60 a piece, and it's supposedly the same exact thing. So we'll find out. I might end up putting the General Motors ones on there and taking those back. I don't know. So I've got 2 of these bad boys. I've got the 3 bearings that I need for the torque tube. I guess you need 2 on one side of the torque tube and 1 on the other. I don't know. I've been scouring the forums trying to get part numbers and all the parts. And then I got a pilot bearing, which may or may not be good after that, but I got a pilot bearing. This is the AC Delco GM pilot bearing. I have no idea what this bearing is, but it came with this. The clutch master cylinder has developed a leak in it. I actually checked my fluid the other day, and there was almost no fluid in it. While I've got the torque tube out, I'm going to replace the clutch master cylinder. Or I'm sorry, this is the clutch slave cylinder, and then I'm also going to replace the clutch master cylinder. And then I've got me some heavy-duty .4 fluid, some stuff for cleaning it up, but that will be coming pretty soon. And I have been searching high and low for videos on how to take the torque tube apart, how to take the torque tube out of the Corvette, and I can't find anything. Mostly it's because anybody who can actually afford a Corvette either pays the dealership to do it, or they're not interested in documenting their work. They've got enough money, or they're doing it so much on their own in their garage that they just don't even care. I found a few pictures here and there, but I'm going to do a full-blown documentary on how to take the torque tube out of this thing, what tools it takes, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to probably be doing a little bit of good old-fashioned redneck ingenuity, because I do have a car lift, but I don't have a transmission jack. So I might rent a transmission jack. I might borrow one from somebody. I don't know. But I'll be doing that pretty soon. When I take the torque tube out, I'm also going to header wrap from the exhaust manifolds all the way to the turbos. Because one thing I've noticed is that when those pipes are cold, it takes more to spool up. It doesn't spool up till full boost until about 3,800 RPM, which is more, it's more RPM than I want. I want more boost than that, faster. And it also depends on, like, if I just freaking mat the thing in first gear, I mean, at the top of first gear, it starts roasting the tires. I shift, second gear, just roast the tires. Third gear, I finally start to get a little bit of traction, but you kind of got to feather it because it just has so much freaking torque, it just roasts the tires. Third gear on the highway, if I mat it in the rain, I'm going to spin out. I mean, so really, third gear at about 60 is no boost. And if I mat it there, I'm okay. I won't spin out, but I still have to be careful. So the thing, even not tuned all the way, even only running 6 pounds of boost, that thing is an animal. And I'm planning on turning up the boost to 10 PSI. maybe a little bit more, maybe 15 psi. I've seen people getting away with 15 psi, but then I'll start breaking stuff. So I think I'm probably going to stay around 8 to 10 psi on the Corvette. But so torque tube documentaries coming down the pipe, and I've also developed a charging system issue, but I'm pretty sure it's just the alternator. I've known the alternator was going to go out anytime because the bearings have been squealing. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to dig into that probably this weekend to figure out what exactly is going on there. We've got some money set aside in our budget for this month for me to address the alternator, which is not a big issue. I'm not worried about that at all. Maybe it's just a blown fuse or something, who knows. But it did that last time I drove it. I drove it down the road to get a pizza on Sunday afternoon. On my way back, the charging system, they said service charging system. It's like, oh crap, one more thing. But I'm not too worried about that. I think that's probably like $150 and maybe 10 minutes worth of work. Or it could have just been the pulley came loose that I put on there. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, torque tube documentary to come. As far as I know, I've got all my parts together. We'll see. I kind of like to go ahead and get do my research, get my parts done ahead of time. That way, when I pull things apart, I've got a part there to compare it to. And then if it's wrong, at least I know why it's wrong. But we'll see. So instead of rambling some more, I'm going to cut the video and leave you with a little bit of a teaser that maybe will spark some interest in the Dakota project. If not, I'm still going to put it on there because I've got a bunch of people at work that are just thrilled about my Dakota. So here's a little teaser of what it looks like now. It's pretty fun little machine. I'm getting it tuned for E85 right now. Any day now I should be getting a tune file from the tuner, but I'm going to definitely be dynoing this bad boy because it has torque like you wouldn't believe. Definitely not as fast as the Corvette. It's fun in a different way. It's fun in an old truck that surprises motorcycles way. So anyway, that's all for now. Corvette videos coming soon.